Yeah, there's no goals in my situation either, but like, that's crazy.
All right, good evening, everyone. On behalf of Beyond Baroque Literary Arts Center, I'd like to welcome you all to ROŌT for the Underdog, a reading and poets conversation in celebration of Meliza Bañales' latest book. Please give it up for Meliza. My name is Jimmy Vega. I'm the Assistant Director of Beyond Baroque. I'd like to start off by acknowledging Beyond Baroque's presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Gabrielino Tonga peoples. We acknowledge the wrong done to these peoples through settler colonialism, genocidal practices, and the violent disposition of their land. And as an arts organization, we are committed to uplifting Indigenous communities, their stories, and cultures. For those who don't know, Beyond Baroque is Los Angeles' oldest literary arts center, located here in Venice, California. Founded in 1968, first as an experimental literary magazine before reimagining itself and becoming the literary institution we know it as today. We're based out of the original Venice City Hall and support writers and help cultivate new writing through our extensive program of writing workshops, readings, and performances. We're currently offering a number of workshops online via Zoom, such as our free weekly Monday night fiction workshop facilitated by Raquel Baker, and our historic Wednesday night poetry workshop, currently facilitated by Tom Leachis. We also have a new intensive workshop for April titled Poems Are Where I Tell the Truth, Being Honest with Bridget Bianca, and we look forward to publicizing more workshops throughout the year. Aside from our workshops, we offer several readings throughout the year. Tomorrow we'll host a reading with David Lloyd, David Wu, and Martha Ronk. And later in the month, we have our latest featured reading, Poetry in Non-English, curated and hosted by Louisette Resto, featuring authors such as Ovid Silva, Elizabeth Koyman, and Peter J. Harris, to name a few. And on Sunday, March 26th, we are celebrating the life of Doug Knott, former president of Beyond Baroque's Board of Trustees, and overall longtime friend of Beyond Baroque. So please come back for all of that. Check that out at beyondbaroque.org or on our socials at BB Lit Arts. Tonight, we're also excited to open our Mike Kelly Gallery with our latest exhibit titled One Sings, the Other Dances, an exhibition by Renee Petropoulos and Benjamin Wiseman. Tomorrow, we actually will have the official opening to that exhibit, but you are here tonight, so feel free to wander around the gallery and the lobby for a sneak preview of all of that. And finally, we offer several memberships to Beyond Baroque, starting at $60 for an individual membership. Purchasing a membership allows us to offer free online and in-person programming, as well as our free weekly writing workshops. And as many of you know, memberships also provide you a discount for the intensive paid workshops as well. And I just want to give a special thanks to our staff working tonight, our executive director, Quentin Ring, our facilities coordinator, Eric Alberg, running things in the booth, Ashley McKay, our publicity and marketing intern, running things in the bookstore. So thank you all for being here and helping us out tonight. And a big special thanks to all of our authors tonight. We're super excited that Meliza has brought in this work into the world. And thank you especially to Jen for helping coordinate all of this. Big shout out to that. We're going to have a reading here. And then after the reading, the authors are going to be in conversation with us as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our host and moderator of the evening, Jen Cheng, an alchemist, a creator of poetry, songs, books, and film. As a queer lesbian daughter of Chinese immigrants, Jen is a cultural translator with a commitment to social justice and community building. She wrote and produced a Burmese LGBTQ family drama, Shadow of Love, and is developing a character-driven mystery series, Lucky Penny. She's also, yes, give it up. She's also a co-creator of Flyaway, a series that centers on an intercultural friend group of tween girls, talented gymnasts, and budding artists set in the 1990s. Jen is a founding member of Pride Poets and hosts a BIPOC-centered literary saloon, Palabras. Please help me welcome Jen Cheng.
Thank you, Jimmy. Special thanks to Beyond Baroque and all of you for showing up. I know that getting here on a Friday night is sometimes a task, and so I want us to take a breath of 5 deep breaths from the low belly and just say, yes, we're here, we're present, and let go of what doesn't serve you. So big inhale. Let it go. Yeah. And on your own time, find your 4 other breaths. And thank you so much for being here. And those of you who are on live stream on YouTube, thank you for joining us from home and whatever time that you're here. So I'm so pleased to celebrate Meliza Bañales for bringing us all together. That this book is not just a creation, but a theme that we all can relate to. And so for bringing us all together, we have a lovely panel of 4 poetic stars for you tonight. And to introduce our first person, Sean Hill is an Sean Hill is an award-winning multidisciplinary artist and humanitarian with the focus of supporting universal inner and outer peace in a realistic, fun, and passionate way. As a SAG actor, host, speaker, touring spoken word artist, and workshop facilitator, he has shared stages and pages with Oscar winners, platinum singers, Grammy winners, literary giants like Kevin Powell, formerly Eve Ensler, Jessica Care-Moore, Nikki Giovanni, and children from youth homes sharing poems for the first time. He traveled to help build 2 gender-equal schools in Malawi and Nepal. And this is his quote, "It is better to light a candle than to curse the dark." You can find him on Let's Spend Reality in all the places. And welcome, big welcome to Sean Hill.
I open mics like autopsies, commune with perspectives like dissected organs, absorbing the truth within every story until I needed a sedative. I became bored with the negatives, literally sliced life as much like roll dice and practice true positivity till I finally became immune to negativity like oranges. With vitamin C breaking hinges off the door, if you invited me to a pity party, hardly a force to be reckoned with, infected with so much positivity, I peek pet peeves into my pee is seen clearly. So positive, even the negatives in my mind added a line just to become a plus sign to stop opposing and grow with me. Even my fears want to hang out sometimes. And I hug them until they can cope with the scope of non-existence. It's just what happens when a focused mind has way too much time to think. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude, Beyond Baroque. I'm pleased to meet you. This is just the first poem that I'm rapping. I'm just a baby waking up from his napping, learning how to walk and talk this life, from writing with chalk and concrete to rocking with break beats. Hip-hop became my training wheels to the point where I could speak. So forget about doing hip-hop. I pop and lock and then eat hip-hop. I am what I speak, and if you are what you eat, then I am hip-hop. Reincarnated, never debated to be the best I am trying to be. Nothing less than myself. So help me and not my throat is on fire. I don't mean to burn you. I'm just breaking shackles like Nat Turner, but believe equality like Bundy. See, I'm not a peace Nazi. The paparazzi couldn't stop me from getting the scoop like cold stone. I'm home alone in the zone like, oh, fellow, hello. Is anyone out here? If I scream and no one hears me, do I make a sound? Check marks the box. Like it or not. I don't need your approval for this to be hot. And if it's ice cold, well, I honestly don't know and don't care. But to be fair, I care if it's true. So let's play out the facts. I got your back like power practice. I want to be in your scene like the best actors. Hey, your DNA is beautiful, let me be the X factor. But I gotta get going eventually, so please don't miss me. I'll be back before you know I'm gone. I want to bring you songs better than fairy tales and nightingales. So I'm getting on tracks like John Henry and offend me. Almost impossible. It wouldn't be logical. It's more probable to turn your energy into something possible, like world peace. And even then, many say that's highly unlikely, like a lock without a key, but I bend reality. We can all bend reality. We can turn the improbable into the everyday, ordinary. Thanks for listening, y'all. How are we doing so far? All right, just checking in. Check in. How many of you, this is your first time experiencing live poetry? Yay! Okay. Okay, I'm gonna single you out the whole time now. I'm kidding. Welcome to the party that you never knew was going on forever. I'm happy to be here, and thank you again to Meliza.
Thank you, Sean.
Ah, seeing and meeting Meliza for the first time. Their name was apropos. They definitely bring the fire. By the way, the fire. Oh my gosh, the fuego. The fuego is so fiery, and we had fiery conversations even the first time meeting in West Hollywood, and it was such a fun time. So I'm here to just super happy to celebrate. Okay, always. And I think I can't wait till y'all experience Missy again. All right. So, and how many of you already know Missy? Yeah. Already know Missy. All right. Cool.
Nobody. Great.
I love seeing people's reactions to you. All right. So this next piece I wrote specifically for this event, actually, and it felt good. It felt good to dig deep. I feel like sometimes as an artist, how many other poets are in the room or artists are in the room?
Right on.
So like I'm trying to just dig deeper and share more personal things and try to share more details, right? A lot of my poetry is very world peace through inner peace is the mission statement. So a lot of my stuff is emotionally intelligent, trying to help people figure out stuff. And I figure if people feel good inside, they're gonna want to cause less problems in the world. You know what I mean? It kind of just makes sense to me. And my birthday is next month also. And I'm just gonna share that. I might be 40, y'all, like big 4-0. I think that's about it for now. Yeah. Oh, and I do workshops, of course. I teach workshops in case y'all are like, oh, I want to write like that, or even if you don't want to write like me, like I'll still help you write. You know what I mean? I support you and listen. I listen really good, by the way. I listen so good.
Yes.
I listen hard.
Gives good ear.
There's ears under here. All right. Let's do that. Oh, and you know what? I think I'm also going to try combining this next piece with the next poem I'm going to do, because I timed it out that way. And I think the last thing I want to say is that, I hope y'all always know poetry is here for you. Whether reading it, whether listening to it, the insight, the peace of mind, the creativity, the creative approach to healing that poetry has given me in my life, hands down, one of the best things that ever happened to me. All right. Don't root for me. I'm no dog. I'm nothing to be rooted for. Don't root for me. I'm uprooted from ancestry. I know family only up to my dad's grandparents. Where's the rest of the tree? Don't root for me. You don't know me yet. I'm listening to a podcast. Jonathan Majors talking about his acting process. Late night, 3 a.m., searching for motivation like a dog for a wishbone to even make a calendar. My stamina is nothing underdog worthy. Aren't underdogs supposed to have better discipline? They become the top dog eventually, right? I guess the connotation is the top dog got there through natural gifts and undeserved, and the underdog is the one more deserving, but just doesn't have the type. I'm an underdog for a reason. I haven't embraced my purpose as fully as could be. I could be better than I am, and I know it. I see my distractions happen in slow-mo now. Even with the responsibilities I do take care of, I actually want to be harder on myself. There's a fine line between self-care and better priorities. So I don't need so much self-care. And I can blame anything I want. Maybe poor immigrant grandparents, single mother, dad raised, brother, younger, trusting the gang more than his family, being called too sensitive by my own sister, too emotional by my own father, and cancer that attacked both parents multiple times. I can blame many things. But what I can blame can also be my source of strength. Those immigrant grandparents raising 7 strong kids, grandfather working for Pan Am Airlines with hands made in Colombia. My father raised single-handedly, started working for CPS, emergency response to child abuse, to make sure so many youth were saved from the torture he had been through. My brother needed false loyalty from a gang to learn bitterly how family was truly there to remind him of the true loyalty he never knew he was. And the names for my sister and father and more about how oversensitive I am. I learned forgiveness, since it made sense once I found out people raised with emotions as the enemy are going to treat a person with healthy sensitivity as weak. How they treat their own emotions spoke volumes so loud my clarity came in like a soft whisper. And cancer, well, when we work as a team through cancer and build trust and share love and plan the future of a whole family in case of death and help write the will for your own father, placing tears under a pillow as if a tooth fairy would take those too. Well, once you do all that, you already beat it. Whether cancer does what it does or doesn't, you become top dog, underdog, Lincoln or Booth, lie or truth, who shot who, I don't care what you call me. I just know I don't deserve the name underdog. I haven't done enough to. I still got more to do. To do. To do. Be the change versus. 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 I told my heart like a gun, blasting away for more than just fun. Make drive-bys happen daily, city to city, like Barnum and Bailey, punch drunk love off of just one shot. People checking to AA from the love they got. I answered another clip. More rounds to go around. Busting caps of understanding and well-planning, leaving adults stunned. Children feel tolerance minus nonsense with a touch of this Midas gun, except everything these bullets touch turns into love. No more bombs bursting in air. I'll shoot an armor-piercing piece of my heart into every politician and poverty-stricken person hurting from empty solutions and empty stomachs. No more sympathy helps. I deliver compassionate clips into every wish, making each relationship take a dip into perspective, and never again does an older brother or significant other feel neglected. Right here, right now is where things usually begin to get hectic. People start running for exits and doors, trying to escape their unknown death wish, but life wish. I answered another clip of my heart into a newsy, spraying so many with multiple hits. People finally realized the mistake. They should have been running towards my bullets, and for those that already made it out the door, they found out too late they had nothing to run for. See, I already had people placed outside, toting their own personal weapons with ammunition of heart. I started something more by becoming a lord of war. Fair. Warfare. War. Fair. No. It's more like fanfare. See, it's music I'm willing to make. A last resort, of course, the dialogue didn't take. Everything else must have been done first to fight with these self-made organic bullets. And if it's true what they say, ash to ash and dust to dust, well, it's a must that bust dust into all of us. And sometimes we don't care to do so. So many live life on cruise control, and I don't ask for whom the bell tolls, and I try my best to not do as I'm told, because I'd rather do what's right. That's a message and truth as old as life on this planet. I can't stand it, and I manage to the granite moves beneath me. The thought of making difficult easy is like a breeze to me, but before a tsunami burst, a hurricane, I've been called insane. But that's a name I'm willing to make myself. Being sane in a crazy world hurts. But no worse than a terse verse, a cursed hearse, where a man who sneezes at the same time that he burns. Because you see, it's all relative. Like friend to partner to marriage, like friend to best friend can become like kin, and I remind myself of these reasons for fighting this war on selves, and I hope to package similar guns of love on all storage shelves, non-toxic for kids and suitable for all ages. And the funny thing is that in my war, everyone, and I mean everyone, truly lives. And Thanks for listening.
Wow, John, you can't start us off with better tonight. That was amazing. Being sane in a crazy world. We can all take a breath for that you're here and celebrating our poets. And next up is Angela Aguirre. Yes, thank you. You all traveled far away to come to Venice. Angela is a Chicana author, speaker, and teacher, a fierce advocate for women and youth in her community. She believes in using her platform to empower. Angela started her journey at the Poetry Lounge in Hollywood in 2010 and has been writing and performing her work since. In 2016, her book of poetry, Writing Prompts, Confessions of a Firework, was published. In 2017, she was the youngest honored as one of 10 Women of the Year by Senator Anthony Portantino. In 2018, she gave the opening TED Talk at TEDx Cal State LA. In 2019, she launched the Millennial Mija podcast. In 2020, she created a healing workshop series called Season of Self, which has created a community for women and femmes in their individual journeys to self-discovery and growth. In 2022, she was given the Women for Racial Justice Award by the YWCA. She has done keynotes and workshops for conferences, graduations, and corporate events. Her work has been featured by Latina Magazine, All Deaf Digital, Voto Latino, KCET, and the Huffington Post. Warm welcome for Angela.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Missy. It means a lot to me because she mentioned I'm a Chicana poet, and Missy was a inspiration to me coming up in this scene, and seeing her and what she could do inspires me and continues to inspire me to this day. So congratulations, Missy, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
I'm gonna start out with, what am I gonna start out with? Like, well, I thought about this and then now it feels different. So I'm gonna start out with a poem called Recovery. And I am what you call an NA baby. If anyone's familiar with the program Narcotics Anonymous, I grew up there. My parents were both recovering addicts, and I would say that shaped my choice to get up on the stage, and it shaped my understanding of what it looks like to stand behind a microphone and tell the truth. This is called Recovery. I was born into recovery. Dim rooms that smelled of cheap coffee and a serenity prayer, chairs in a circle and surrender in the air. I was raised at a meeting. Amidst rock bottom stories and second chance dreams, I was born into Narcotics Anonymous, a path toward hope for the helpless. 12 steps closer to the beautiful aftermath of chaos, I was born into restoration, into finding the courage to change and taking moments of silence for the addict who still suffers. I was born into fellowship, newcomer chips and sober livings, taking inventory and understanding that life only happens one day at a time. I was born into Sunday barbecues, to the sound of Motown music, East LA barrio slang. Growing up, birthday parties were always sober events, with guest lists that sounded more like a cell block roll call. I grew up sharing toys with the sons and daughters of ex-convicts, with hearts that bled for us, and smiles that hid behind thick mustaches and lip liner. Loving parents with too many tattoos and mile-long rap sheets. I learned early on not to judge anyone by what they used to be. My childhood taught me to look past the past, to see the perfect in the progress, and that living the part will always be more important than looking it. Thank you. So speaking of being an AA baby, it's Women's History Month, and I want to honor the woman I came from. Her and I have a very complicated relationship. I feel like the mom most of the time, And I am getting to a place in my life where I am trying to focus more on what she is than what she isn't. And so this poem is for her. My mother's name is Pamela Antonacci. She is the kind of woman you want in your corner. The kind of woman who will give you a warm hug, share a joke, make you feel like one of her kids, but also the kind of woman you occasionally worry might stab someone. I wish I was kidding. She is a kaleidoscope of worlds, a combination of the most glamorous woman I have ever known, a ruthless hustler, a pantsuited professional, an ex-heroin addict. She mixes prison stories with the scent of Chanel No. 5. She is the Bonnie who never needed a Clyde. She is my mother, the blue-eyed, sailor-mouthed Michelle Pfeiffer lookalike who will call you honey and tell you to go fuck yourself in the same breath. The kind of woman you call when you want something done. The reason my survival skills rival everyone else my age, my resourceful mother. My if you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself mother. My always does it herself mother. The survivor. My panhandle on Venice Beach mother at the age of 7. My A1 sauce sandwiches mother. My waited outside the apartment while her mother turned tricks on the living room couch mother. My left home at 13 mother. The beauty school dropout. Dine and dash with an entire softball team mother. My only white girl in South Central mother. My don't fuck with me mother. My scar across her face from the time a chola pulled a razor blade out of her hair mother. My cut off that chola's pinky finger with that same razor mother. My Daddy Tony's woman from Southside mother. My Commerce Casino mother. 5 years in prison, tax fraud, my 2 glamorous for PTA meetings mother. My they should have never given a street hustler a desk job mother. My always cheer me on mother. My beat the shit out of my sister but let me get away with everything mother. My Deepak Chopra and Joel Osteen mother still believes in magic. Shoot first, ask questions later. My I know you were wrong, but we'll discuss that after we bury the body mother. My loyal mother with bigger balls than any man, the kind of woman I warn people about before they meet her. My say exactly what she thinks mother who dances to Motown in her underwear. My this job ain't working out so I'm gonna start my own business mother. She gets it done by any means necessary. My beautiful mother, in spite all of her circumstances, the kind of woman you fear and respect. The kind of woman who has lived through wars but is still here to tell the battle stories, my mother. The woman who couldn't be tamed by hell or high water raises me to be a survivor. Teaches me to write my own rules. Shows me what is possible with a little bit of faith and a knife. My mother is the role model you never knew you needed. The anti-shero. She is the girl your mother warned you about, and she is damn proud of it. Thank you. So how many of you in here have ever been asked the question, what are you? Who loves that question? We all love that question. It's like, could you come up with a better question than that? Huh?
Nope.
Well, I'm about to tell you how I answer the question. Oh, okay, here it is. So, like I said, when they ask me what I am, this is my answer. I am my mother's blue eyes and my father's brown hands. I am conchas and cannolis, Aztec calendars and iPhones, nail shops and swap meets, eyebrows and big shiny gold hoops. I am lasagna and taco trucks, chente and Sinatra, prom dresses from Los Callejones, birthday parties where everyone eats and talks and eats and talks until the babies fall asleep on 2 chairs put together. No matter how loud the music plays, the tias never run out of things or people to talk about. Women with trumpet voices, men with bass drums in their chests. I am the brown children in the white baptismal gowns, asking for money for the ice cream man. Their uncles with thick mustaches, creased Levi's and fresh Pendletons. I am higher education and code switching. Good English and bad Spanish. I am Spanglish, which is to say I am most at home somewhere in between. I am the result of my mother. surviving the streets alone at 14. The result of my father learning to read in prison. I am NA meetings and sober livings, cheap coffee and the serenity prayer. Some would say my family legacy makes my life a recipe for failure, but what they don't know is resurrection is my inheritance. So when they ask me what I am, I will say I am generations of don't fuck with me. I am Angela, daughter of the struggle and the revolution. I am Angela, and I wouldn't want to be anyone else. Woo! I'm going to take it to more of a, I'm real comfortable with being empowered. That's like my default setting. But when it comes to being vulnerable, now that's hard. That's really hard. And it's something that I am trying to conquer because, I read this quote that said, why bother? Because there's someone out there with a wound in the exact same shape as your words. And that just spoke to me so much because I remember being that person with that wound and hearing people like Missy up on stage and feeling like that would never be me. I would never be able to get up there. But I remember the feeling that I would get from hearing their words and what it meant to me. And that's what keeps me getting back up behind the mic, no matter how much my hands shake, no matter how nervous I get right before. I know that it's a vocation, it's not a job. You either were born to do this or you weren't. So I'm going to share a poem that I wrote at probably my lowest. And if there's anyone in here that struggles with depression, this is for you. And if you need to take a second and walk out, I understand. It's called Dear Angela. Dear Angela, you are divine, a gift from God, a light in the darkness. You are a miracle. The perfect verse over the perfect beat. You are the greatest love story ever told. The greatest woman to ever live in your skin. You are phenomenal. The way you love others should be the blueprint you use to love yourself. You deserve to be loved, holy, worshipped like the goddess that you are. You deserve to be loved. I say this again because you seem to forget it so often. You are worthy of the same quality of love you give everyone else. Angela, your heart is an ocean. It is deep and full of life, so immense that parts of it have not yet been explored, and that is okay. Stop trying to give it away so easily and without collateral. You deserve an ocean in return. Stop settling for puddles. Stop trying to love them into lakes. Angela, you are enough. Without your poems, without your book, your TED Talk, your talented friends, without a man in your life or a job with benefits, you alone are enough. No matter how broken your Spanish, no matter how many colleges book you or not, no matter how poppin' your highlight is or if the wings of your eyeliner are even or not. It stresses me out sometimes. You alone are enough. Why is this so hard for you to believe? Is it because your father left? Is it because your mother was never taught how to be one? You are not a mistake. Yes, you have made many. Each has brought you closer to today. That's something else you need to know, Miana. The most important day in your life will always be today. Too often you let your depression rob you of it. Dear Angela, stop letting your depression rob you. Depression is just possession without all the religion attached. You can fight the darkness, but only with the light. Dear Angela, I know you so often feel stuck in the space between mediocrity and greatness. Let me make myself clear. There is nothing mediocre about you. Fear is the enemy of greatness. Stop letting it hold you back. Fear is quicksand. It will swallow you whole if you let it. Run straight towards it. Do not let it trick you into forgetting who you were born to be. Stop letting questions consume you. Time is better spent looking for answers. To find them, look within. You already have inside you everything you need to survive this. One day, you will learn to heal yourself, and when you do, it will be glorious. Dear Angela, you are still a poet, even when you haven't written in months. Your worth is not determined by your productivity. You are eternal. You will live forever through your words. Decades from now, a little brown girl with broken Spanish just like yours will do a report on you. She will open your book and it will transform into a mirror. She will see herself reflected back in your story and she will know that hers matters. On presentation day, she will be nervous. Her hands will shake, but she will stand in front of her class and recite this poem out loud anyway. She will replace your name with her own and the self-doubt will fade away. The little brown girl will know in that moment that she is unstoppable. Dear Angela, you are important. Your work is important. Your life is important. And I know you don't believe that right now, but if you just fight a little longer, I promise, you will find the light again. I promise, you will learn to shine it on the world, and when you do, you will thank me for writing this. You will know that it saved you. Love, Angela. Thank you. The last poem I'm going to do is dedicated to you, Missy.
Hey,
You.
hey.
I'm already song.
I love you.
I love you too, Angela. Thank you.
This poem is, so make some noise if you know what the word chingona means. Okay, and if you don't, you're about to learn. But again, thank you, Missy, for blazing all these trails and you know, coming before us and making space for us. Thank you. Ooh, I'm shaking again. Shake it out.
Kick it out. Kick it out.
Last one, right? Let's do it. Chingona, noun. A Spanish slang term meaning badass woman. Although the word chingona is a Spanish term, it is not limited to Latinas. A chingona is any woman who chooses to live life on her own terms, period. She is the scholar and the hoe at the same damn time, or she is neither. The point is she gets to choose, and whatever choice she makes is the right one. A chingona is unbothered. She is not concerned with your opinion about her use of hood slang in college settings, the length of her skirt at a job interview, nor anybody's bullshit respectability politics. Some chingonas are educated, and some of us are self-taught. What truly defines us as chingonas is our ability to harness our fire, our chingona fire to be exact. Chingona fire is a revolutionary act, an act of resistance. It is as much about lipstick as it is about fighting the patriarchy. Chingona fire is the ability to convey an entire message with your eyebrow alone. It is switching from Spanish to English mid-conversation, zero fucks given. It is correcting the pronunciation of graceful words on lazy tongues. Chingona fire is running for office and applying for college. It is loving yourself and taking no shit and refusing to apologize for your existence. It is raising your voice when others try to silence it. To be a chingona means you don't usually need any help, but you also ain't afraid to ask for it when you do. It is cruising down with your boulevard in your own lowrider, bumping Selena and rocking the darkest shade of lipstick and the shiniest pair of gold hoops you own. It is showing up to work every day to a job you love, because chingonas, we don't settle. To be a chingona means you have your own, and I don't mean car, house, or business yet, but you own something inside yourself that cannot be taken from you. Something that cannot be given away. You own your chingona fire. It is the reason you survive, not because of luck, but because the fire within you burns brighter than the one around you. It is the intimacy of chisme around the kitchen table, the sharing of stories that do not belong to us with women who do. It is the pouring of wine into glasses that will be sipped by lips who have been betrayed. It is the roast that follows. The girl, he was never good enough for you anyway. Chingona fire is communal. It is self-care on Sunday night and beasting a meeting on Monday morning. Chingona fire is mystical and ancient, like rosary beads y la Santa Maria. Like the protection of Oshun and Yemaya, it is the writing of poems and the sharing of them with rooms full of strangers. It is believing in a power greater than yourself. Chingona fire tastes like simmered onion and garlic, like the recipes passed down to you from generations, not sweet, but savory, like the foundation of every home-cooked meal. Thank you.
Well, Angela, thank you for bringing that jingle on the fire and sharing all those gems and mirrors of vulnerability. It's one thing to be strong and another thing to share that vulnerability, so thank you. Next up, we have Brian Sonia Wallace. Brian is a poet and cultural worker interested in themes of intimacy, service, debt, queerness, grief, authorship, memory, and transcendence. He is West Hollywood City Poet Laureate, a 2021-22 Academy of American Poets Laureate Fellow, and the author of The Poetry of Strangers, What I Learned Traveling America with a Typewriter, and also Maze Mouth, which you can find today. His book chronicles long-term project Rent Poet, which invites the public to share their stories in exchange for poems about them, written in real time on a vintage typewriter. Brian runs a queer open mic in a trashy gay club, and was once quote tweeted by Bjork. Please welcome. It is a wonderful trashy gay club.
You can still say they're trashy.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Oh. My family tree is full of corrupted forms. English, my sweet mother's ancestral tongue. My father's grandfather's salvation. Dead now, that whole lie. And me, queer, atheist, childless, last of my name. Legacy's end. No poem can escape its identity. How Jewish to fantasize extinction. How gay. My people always leave. What if I stay? In the absence of next of kin, of God, commit myself to metaphor, a family by any other name. Fill poems with birds, pale moons, broken hearts. Any eternal thing I think might last. Beat forward, bearing armfuls of the past. 1. Family breaks, italicizes into dialogue. I miss him, I miss him. 2 of us at the table, attempting a holiday. Is that a family? Mom heals slowly, mind and body broken. Booze draggled, teary, drunk, and showering only as often as an injured person showers. How is that a mom? Until hungry for dog walks, she writes herself on her cane. Another date with pain. That old, estranged lover who moved in when Dad died. When Dad died, I got a fish,
When Dad died, I started kickboxing. When Dad died, I broke up with everyone. When Dad died, I moved on. When Dad died, I taught. When Dad died, I could not think straight. When Dad died, I moved the car for street sweeping. When Dad died, I went to the desert. When Dad died, I had sex. When Dad died, I watered the new houseplants. When Dad died, I started to do everything I'd ever do for the rest of my life after my dad died. A screeching devil of self-doubt moved in. A few paperback profits. A podcast about setting boundaries and communicating needs. I give my mom Mother's Day. She's needed. We open the good wine, the wine he set aside. We open the whiskey I would have drunk with him after she went to bed. She stays up to drink the whiskey. Near the end, she keeps saying, "I'm so glad you're here. You have so much to live for." Emails a colleague of my dad's. She laughs and laughs. Isn't that funny? What does he think I'm going to do? She keeps tracing the hole. I'm just complaining. The setting sun complains, golden across the street. Jacarandas bother the sky. I insist on a walk, and she grows animated, inspecting the neighborhood, hungry for new construction. Too early to celebrate?
Never.
Won't you walk with me? My glam aunts, my ferocious uncles, my frankest friends, my chosen family. Look at all we have lost, all that survives. We are a house built on bones. We are dancing, dancing on bones. You, dear, never stopped being a proud march, a palm frond in ragged wind. Yes, you curled up in last winter's hush. This city threads us lonely, a plastic oasis of skin sweaty with starlight. But now, it's time for go-go boots and guitar strings, rooftop pools and history between your lips like a cold margarita while the hot asphalt dances. Each of us, a song, equal parts party and protest. The sunset strip echoes. Jacarandas bloom, bright after barren months. Our streets, symphony again. Wild beyond gardens, blaze honey disco, French horns, and orange sherbet glow. Thank you, Jen, for bringing us together. I've known Jen since 2019 doing Pride Poets. That last poem was my city poem 2 years ago now for the city of West Hollywood. As its poet laureate, we do a couple of really cool things together that you all should know about. On April 5th, which is a Wednesday, I've got an open mic coming up at Mickey's, which is the aforementioned trashy gay club. April 5th, actually, it's normally an open mic. April 5th is a slam. Featuring 12 poets, including the one and only Missy Fuego, who I learned from Wikipedia first, Latina to win a poetry, a regional poetry slam, a national poetry
I
slam?
think I was, yeah. 1,000 years ago.
1,001 years ago. So you were standing in the historic presence. If you didn't know. Yeah, we've got that slam coming up. April is National Poetry Month. I've got events every Wednesday in a gay bar, in a weed shop, and then in the city facility. So if any of those sound like your speed, let me know. I'm gonna finish out with a little reading from my first book. It's a book of essays called The Poetry of Strangers. Thinking about the themes of underdogs and thinking about what it means for us to be in this space and to be doing this work. And as Angela said, to be holding up mirrors. So this is called The First Stranger. Comes with a little epigraph. When you are grown, no part of you will be recognizable. Will you tend the garden of yourself? Do you dare brave the soil? I sat behind a borrowed Smith Corona manual typewriter with sticky keys at a street party in downtown Los Angeles. The year was 2012, and I had recently returned to California from college abroad, another unemployed millennial at the tail end of the financial crisis, looking for purpose but willing to settle for moving out of his parents' house. The pounding summer heat at the street party was broken by the shade of skyscrapers, glass citadels to wealth and power that towered over everyone. A new metro line had just been built in this car-powered city, and everyone was celebrating at the grand opening of the latest station. Naturally, to get there, I drove. Helicopter moms buzzed around their children. Paleteros called hielos and pushed ice cream carts, and a homeless man shouted himself hoarse and broke down on the street corner at all these people in his living room. LA was in the middle of a homelessness crisis, a gentrification crisis, a transportation crisis. LA was perpetually in the midst of these crises. Next to me, a DJ booth powered by solar panels played Pharrell Williams' Happy. I was nervous, palms sweating as I set out a Costco tray table and folding chair. Another birthday in my sputtering adulthood had passed, and I had a leftover length of blue wrapping paper that I made into a sign. Poetry store. Give me a topic. I'll write you a poem. Pay me what you think it's worth. What's the worst that could happen? I reasoned with my terror. No one stops, and I write poems to myself in public like a weirdo and go home. I've been a weirdo before, I can do it again. I took a picture on my iPhone of the typewriter and reluctantly put it back into my pocket, shoving down the urge to Facebook, to text, to be anywhere but here on the hot and crowded street corner surrounded by strangers with an open invitation for any one of them to come up and talk to me. I retyped on a piece of paper to calm my nerves. No sooner had I started writing than people drifted over, curious to see the typewriter and then bemused at the prospect of finding a self-proclaimed poet behind it. Do you need a poem? I asked them. I wasn't me, I told myself over and over again. I was the character of the poem. If people rejected me, they weren't rejecting me, they were rejecting this character I was playing. But people stopped almost immediately. Old folks to reminisce over the typewriter, curious kids and their parents, couples on dates. I asked each of them the same question. What do you need a poem about? Do you need a poem? I don't have any money, replied a buzz-cut Chicana woman with tattoos peering out where her clothing met skin. That's okay, I replied. About my dad, then. Her answer was instant. He was a long-haul trucker when my brothers and sisters and I were growing up, so he wasn't around much. She drifted into stories of her dad, her family, reminiscing about her life and relationships to a complete stranger on the street while throngs of people passed. My dad would be gone for weeks at a time, but he'd do it to be able to send money home, she told me. I would just want him to know that I understood, and that we loved him for it. She stopped and stood in silence. I wondered if this story was a weight she'd been carrying a long time. My fingers struggled to muster enough force on the rusty keys of the typewriter in front of me to smash the tiny hammers into the ink ribbon and onto paper. I quickly discarded the 10-finger typing we'd been assured in school was the secret to success and went back to hunt and peck. As I typed each line, the typewriter would skip ever perilously closer to the edge of the cheap TV tray table, threatening to topple off. I had to pause and wrestle it back, turn the knob, pull the carriage back to start a new line. The C stuck. The space bar sometimes skipped and left 2 spaces. Any hope I had at formatting the thing was gone. It will format itself, thank you very much. My index fingers labored over the keyboard, each keystroke an exclamation of permanence. I didn't keep any pictures of the poems I wrote back then. So I'll never know what the first poem I wrote for a stranger said. I remember images of truck side mirrors, endless lonely roads, buoyed by thoughts of family back home. The road itself becoming a vein through which blood flowed back to the heart. And I remember reading the poem to this fierce woman, peeking up to see her eyes closed. It was a first draft, imperfect, riddled with the errors of a 60-year-old machine and a 22-year-old poet. But it was hers. At the end, she took a deep breath in, then opened her eyes to look at me. She took her poem, expression inscrutable. "Wait here," she said, and vanished into the crowd. I moved on to write for someone new, a middle-aged woman in festive summer clothes who fawned over photos of her dog with me at the typewriter. But then the trucker's daughter reemerged from the mass and pressed a crisp $5 bill into my hand. I had to go to an ATM, she told me by way of explanation. Her tone was gruff, but I could see something had softened in her face. The trucker's daughter didn't look like she had much, but her $5 was much more than $5 to an unemployed kid looking for something to hold on to. It was an affirmation. In this world bound by money and scarcity, this world where it's hard to find the words to tell someone how you feel, what you need. She was sending a message. What you are doing is worth something. I'm so excited at the value of what you're doing in the community that you all are bringing together just first moving back into LA. It means so much.
Thank you all for letting us poets help you tend your garden tonight. I mean, poetry is here to help us reflect, see each other as mirrors, and make us feel. I'm so delighted to become one of Meliza's newest friends, but feel like I have known Meliza forever. Our first meeting was at a park, and we instantly said, "Hermana!" We're sisters! And I think this kind of soul recognition, this tribe that we have as building our community of poets, it's special. So thank you for coming to LA and instigating some chingona fire in me.
She's stylish.
That's what it means.
That's what it is.
And Brian gave me the love of typewriter poetry, of writing for strangers, and having what I think is a intimate drink with someone, and an emotional drink, where when you get to know somebody so deeply. And thank you to Sean, who I recently met through Meliza. Like, I feel like I know you so deeply through your work, but this is just the beginning of our friendship. So thank you all for pulling yourselves here for us to celebrate. Let me tell you a little bit about Meliza's book. This book is a work of sacred memory keeping of 1990s San Francisco mission, a queer Latina femme poet life, and the life 20 years later when condos take over these poetry bars. It's a disabled brown femme reckoning telling honest stories of grief, love, desire, and survival. And for you to know a little bit more about Meliza, known as Missy Fuego, Meliza is an author, advocate, and adventurer. Their new book, ROŌT for the Underdog, features tales of strife, strength, and community. In addition to creating daring work across more than 2 decades of books and anthologies, Meliza has received praise from feminist and queer magazines like Autostrada and Bustle. They were a 2016 Lambda Lit finalist for Best LGBTQ debut fiction for their novel Life is Wonderful, People Are Terrific. Meliza rocked the slam poetry scene of the 1990s San Francisco, taught at UC San Diego, and now lives in Los Angeles and the Central Coast. Let's get a warm.
Thank you so much. I can't thank everybody enough. I'm a little under the weather, so if I have the sniffles, my bad. Come to the slam on the Fed. I'm telling you, it's the first time I've slammed competitively in 20 years. Okay, like this is like you're bringing out like ancient history here. I was champion in 2002. That's crazy. And I'm going to competitively slam against these 12 people on the Fed. I'm just saying it more and more, so I memorize myself. You are competitively slam. You will memorize these poems. Everybody up here is obviously a piece of my heart, but they're also a piece of my authorship. And I really couldn't have come to this book without them. And I'm going to start with a poem that I actually will dedicate to Angela, because I did this as one of the first poems that I was doing when we were all doing poetry in East LA. I want to tell you about my grandmother and planting roses. How getting the soil just right for the seeds requires your whole body. Crouched, hunched, both hands, both arms, working, massaging, rotating. My abuelita didn't use a shovel, just some water, her hands, patience. She waited for the earth to invite her, and when her fingers slid through the mud, she went in. And in this story, I am 11 years old, and I go with her. Though it starts slow, it quickly gathers momentum. And there we are, pushing, sweating, all smells, all dark and thick. It's always an ugly business getting to something so beautiful, she would say. Can you turn the earth, mija? We keep going. I find my neck bent, my chest to the ground. I'll be honest with you. I was holding back then, because I was afraid to get dirty, afraid I wouldn't get the stains out of my knees, afraid to be surrounded, to be held. I didn't think I'd make it back from the mud. Effort, she whispered. Keep going. The moment when the seeds could drop was so close, and I wanted it to happen, but I didn't think that my hands could get the job done. But we kept going. And then I felt something give, and I stopped, pulled out, and took a shallow breath in my flat girl chest. Now just sit, Tita said, just for a minute. I couldn't hear wires buzzing with electricity over my Tita's house in North Hollywood, or someone's favorite show, or a phone call goodbye. I only remember the sky. It was so blue, and a small wind found my face. I want you to know, this is how you make me feel. When I am up to my arms in you, when I am a fool who only knows trust in this moment, can I put my chest to the altar of your heart? I'll be honest with you. I am not holding back, because only the brave are afraid to get lost. They live to be consumed. So let me get lost in you. Can you let me use both hands to see inside your pain, your past, your hurt, your desire, and write a different ending? I enjoy the dark, the quiet. It is always an ugly business getting to something so beautiful. I want you to know that I come from a long line of growers, and I am not afraid to dig. So this book is 15 years of poems. So in that time, once upon a time, I lived in San Francisco. And when I lived there, let me tell you something, you would have never wanted to leave. If you were young, hot, and queen, woo, that was the place to be. Let me tell you.
Yes, it was.
Damn, those were the days. I'm not even playing with you. I can just close my eyes and it's like I'm there again. It was, I don't know how to describe this. San Francisco in the 90s was a bunch of orphans. Okay, everybody that was LGBTQIA in the 90s had pretty much been disowned or kicked out of somewhere. And everybody just descended on this city all at once. And it was like you just blink. I remember walking down the street and seeing two men holding hands, and I had to sit down and cry because I had never seen anything like that before, ever. And I remember walking up to them and saying, "Aren't you scared?" And they laughed at me. They were like, "This is a Castro." And I was like, "Okay, what does that mean?" And they were like, "This is like the guy says to me, 'You queer?' And I said, 'Yeah.' And he goes, 'Then you're home. You're home. So why would we be afraid here?" And I was like, oh, like that was it. So I stayed from 1996 until 2011. So I stayed quite a long time. And this is one from 2003. Calmly walk through the metal detector. The bank. Today it surprises you. So you decide you have enough money left over to treat yourself to a Coke, a pack of cigarettes, and a book by a writer you've never heard of. But upon reading the first 5 pages from the bargain bin on the street, you figure it's worth your time. Your steps are heavy but purposeful. You review your recent revelations. 1, the city does not own you. You own the city. 2, the city owns you. 3, you are your own city. You carry your book, your smokes, your coke, $26.80 in your bank account, a food stamps card, and a little dog that licks your face when you look at her eyes and ask, "Where are my kisses?" You decide something's gonna change today. You're gonna tell that therapist the city has given you that you want a note. A note that allows your little dog who licks your face to become your companion dog. You're gonna tell her, "Look, lady, I'm depressed and I need a companion dog." So use your fancy fucking degrees and make it happen. That therapist. You're gonna tell her she's donating to charity if she does this for you. You're gonna tell her you need a companion dog so that when you go to the food stamps office and that piece of shit security guard who never lets you in when he discovers your little dog who licks your face is in your purse, when you see that fucking loser, you're gonna hand him the note. The important therapist note. Smile and say, "Eat shit," and calmly walk through the metal detector with your companion. Today you will support yourself with a crutch called hope, a can of Coke you haven't had for 7 days, a cigarette you haven't seen so long people think you're quitting, and a book by a writer you've never heard of.
Wow.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks. I wrote ROŌT for the Underdog because I hadn't written a book in a while, and I said if I'm going to write another book, it's going to be about failure, because it's like the one conversation that I kind of keep dancing around. When you're a gonzo, how many of you are familiar with gonzo? Okay, so being a gonzo writer means you just don't give a fuck about anything. You capitalize on your crazy. That's fun for a while, but I think what you start to realize is that you're avoiding something, right? You're really avoiding something. And I think what a lot of gonzo writers would probably say is, whatever you're avoiding, you need to like dive head first with no helmet, like into a brick wall. Like that's truly their attitude. And so I would have to say that failure is that conversation for me. Let me just head on. And one of my biggest failures, I think too, has been marriage. If that doesn't bother you yet, great. If that hasn't happened to you yet, awesome. If it never happens to you, that's awesome. But it might, and it might not work out. And this is a poem for that. It's called All You Know. All you know is that it snows on Christmas in Vermont. There are men named Joseph with beautiful wives and perfect children in small puffy suits who make little snowmen in the front yard. All you know is that she has gray and white hair and still looks younger than you. All you know is she is doctor now, and she works in a place with heart in the name, on Main Street, USA, in, you remember, Vermont. All you know is that the married couple have traveled many cities. So many cities, they do not remember the sunrises. They do not remember the days before the perfect, puffy-suited children, the snowmen. They do not remember the past. They do not remember you. All you know is when they move, their memories belong to goodbye posts and updates, and they have many, many updates. Like when one child learned to read, another learned to dance. Both made gifts with beads for their father, and their mother bought the beads. All you know is they make everything by hand from scratch together. All you know is the married couple smile wide in every photo, and they look matched, paired, elegant, and it never snows in LA. All you know are the paperweights in December, their fragrance, a sharp whistle from across the yard. All you know are the ghosts that line the walls of a house that should be perfect but isn't. Because another marriage is ending, a father has died, his daughter made him gifts with clay and wood from childhood. The mother kept them, and they now sit side by side where no one sees them, no one is updated. All you know is the house is an abandoned child. If only the right parents could keep it, maybe the home wouldn't feel like such a curse. All you know is that in Vermont, where it snows on Christmas, on Main Street, while the doctor writes prescriptions for sound baths, gluten cleanses, and the heart, there are men named Joseph, who always had a beard, especially when married to you, but now the beard is thicker and bigger than ever. He speaks easily and well. He is happy and better. It is because of the beautiful wife, it must be, because you don't remember him that way. All you know is you are nobody and no one, and it has nothing to do with you. All you know is it's winter. It's 70 degrees. You are not a wife again. There are no children still. The streets are numbers that ascend into the hundreds. All you know is you are hundreds and hundreds of miles away from the first and the second time that on Christmas in Vermont, Joseph is happy with the beautiful wife that was once your friend, with perfect children, no past, and no frozen tears for you. So we'll lighten it up a little bit. I know. Thank you. That was the hardest one to write. This book is put into 3 sections. I'm just going to read a couple more poems so we can have our conversation. Y'all have been sitting. Thank you so much for your attention. I will give a content warning. The second part of the book is about one of the ways that I failed, which was I failed at suicide. My greatest failure ever. When a body, spirit, being lives in pain, often. When all of the opportunities have been lost, when all. When there is only the thought of the edge, you meeting it again, relief. When there is only you and one more step, imagine. It's not romantic. You should not feel romantic right now, but you feel different. Maybe you don't. Maybe you have shit for an imagination. Maybe you have decided a long time ago, or even 5 minutes before reading this, that you don't need to imagine, because imagining things maybe sets them into motion, and you are more superstitious than meets the eye. You are not stupid, and it's a shame, because then so much of this just wouldn't mean anything. Wouldn't that be nice? Regardless, maybe you don't see this and that, and the truth is, you still think it's a desperate bid for attention, privilege, whiny drama, and well, it is, and well, it isn't. Let's just use the edge from now on. Imagine the edge In hiking, the edge is how you test your limits, not the climb, not the height. I would know. I hike every day, almost 2 hours per day. It is a beautiful, soothing, and luxurious activity that requires nothing except decent shoes and the willingness to get lost. I feel born to hike. Now back to the edge. Hiking is up, is distance, adelante. You know you are going, advancing, so measuring your success by climbs, by canyons, by mountains is to be expected. It becomes rather easy. Even when you know the climb will be tough, you still know. And the weeks or months or even years preparing for that one climb becomes routine, becomes habit. You are not studying that. We are talking about limits here, because everybody will want to climb that. Everyone will have their way, the best way. They'll want to try it. They will think that they will have that best route, that best way. And they make those decisions. We make those decisions by seeing how close to an edge we can get. Is it an edge we can hike down? Is it an edge that is sharp? Does the edge have stones around it, which is a trail marker, but you always believe is actually an altar? Do you stand at the edge of the altar, look down, and don't feel dizzy anymore? That's the real danger. That's the test. How comfortable are you at the edge? What will you do when you are not afraid to look down anymore? And in fact, looking down is not vertical. Looking down allows you to see deep inside. So very deep. Maybe you don't even see the bottom. This is not a metaphor. This is really hiking. This is what you tell yourself every day. You wrap the front part of your feet against a rocky edge to straight down. It is a canyon you visit like church. There are always a murder of crows there. They fly so low to you that their black wings are blue in the sunlight. You can see the jagged edges of their talons. They make figure eights in the bowl of the canyon. When you put your arms up, you look like a conductor, and they are your orchestra. You forget about the edge. You used to be afraid of heights, afraid of edges. But now you see the murder, and you think, this is just where my friends live. This is where I live. This is not romantic. You should not feel romantic. These edges are tricky for hikers. Imagine for suicidal tendencies. Imagine this is where you live. Line it up. You are. This is for all the artists in the room. I just want you to know that I tried this. It didn't work, but it might work for you. It's called Outstanding Balance. And this was back in 2003, so maybe shit's changed. I do what I do best when I have no job and no money and no hope. I write a poem. I've paid lots of money to institutions in order to do this. I have paid no money but have given up everything in order to do this. I've tried reasoning with the phone company, the credit card company, and my loan officers. I tried to negotiate with them through trade. I will write them a poem. A nice poem. I won't use bad words or say how they make me want to kill myself. I'll lie so well that my readers will think I'm telling the truth and will like what they see, if only they could let me. But they don't. They only know a language of currency. They speak to me in dollars and dream about the things they will buy when I pay them. They talk to me in fragments and numbers and collectors and lawyers and lots of other important people who they say they're going to make me pay. They're not interested in my poem. And since everyone thinks they're a poet, my offer looks like a sack of sewage on their front door. It stinks, they say, and it's taking up space. Just send the check in the mail, they persist. We just need a signature, they say. You can keep the poems. Just send us the signature. Then we can get this whole thing cleared up. And I'm just going to read 2 more. It almost worked once.
What?
Yeah. I did. I had somebody on the phone for 30 minutes, and I was like, come on, I'm just gonna write it down. And then I did write her a poem. She cut the late fees.
Oh.
So that was So Brian, Sonia Wallace, you got $5, and I got some late fees.
We're making it.
They're making it. There we go. In 1997, you read in a bar on the border of the Mission and Folsom in San Francisco. You read with a group of women everyone wants to sleep with but are secretly scared of. You are noticed by now. People might even say you fit in. You make friends by telling your sad truth, only you are not sad. You are alive. And the truth is whatever you say it is. And if it sets you free, fine. And if it only exists in a story, then at least you tried. Every show and every reading feels this way because it is still safe to be wild and free and young. These things don't cost much money yet. Of course you take them for granted. The bar is now gone. You look at the cream and beige condos now standing. Once it was dark and lovely. You climbed up an illegal smoky staircase. You stood on a pool table and read at the top of your lungs to a room so full it was spilling onto the streets, and out of the windows was hot wax running down the side of your hand. Once it was over, and there was clapping and thunder and so much noise for more, give us more. Once you were enough. And San Francisco was a beautiful, crooked place that let you be clumsy. You can't afford these condos, but never let them tell you that you didn't live here. My last piece. And this is also to my mom. It was her birthday yesterday. And I pretty much think that this definitely aptly describes her. Writing assignment, tell me who you really are, draft 2. My mother tells me the way into life is with a fist. A boy at preschool keeps biting me, and she tells me the next time he bites, punch him. She shows me how to make a 5-pointed star turn into a ball. We practice swinging in the living room to Michael Jackson's Beat It on the record player. The boy does bite again. I swing. He gets a bloody nose. My mom is called down to the school, and she takes me out for ice cream.
As we get our poets down to our Q&A discussion, why don't you all stand up and get a little stretch? Thank you for being part of our poetry theme of ROŌT for the Underdog tonight. Please stay and mingle, and we have book signings up here and books for sale at the bookstore. Want to stretch? Please stay around for our conversation. And yes, grab some water, come back in, we'll come out and do some book signings shortly. Where's our shot?
Or do you need sodas, or I don't know what else they have, water?
Oh, I drink water. No, I think so.
Okay.
Thank you. We're gonna send her shit.
Oh, hi.
All right, so we're gonna do rapid fire, just kind of like answer in 1 or 2 quick sentences. So we have this, what does tonight's theme, ROŌT for the Underdog, mean for you? And thank you, Sean, for writing a poem for tonight. You might have already answered it, but just help us think about it in 1 or 2 sentences.
He's not an underdog.
I know, I'm not an underdog.
I really like your poem, Sean. I never thought about it like that before. But it would be, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of underdog, yeah, what came up for me was the feeling of not being enough for something, whether or not even if it's true or not. The feeling of not being good enough for something, underdog.
You know, it's funny that you say that because like when I wrote this book and I chose that title, I love the word underdog because an underdog is the actual definition of it. It's a competitor that is underestimated, but always finishes every race. Like that is the actual definition of an underdog. It's not like one or the other, like they both go together. So it's someone who's underestimated, but not only are they underestimated, they still compete. That's why I fucking named this book Underdog, because I was like, that's how I feel about failure. Like failure really makes you want to give up. You know what I mean? I don't know, like it's just interesting because I never thought about it like when you were reading it like
I mean,
that.
that's the beauty of like all these connotations we have of words, right? I didn't look up the actual definition. I thought about it, I was like, should I do it? Should I go with what I feel? Right? And so, yeah, I'm always surprised when we look up actual words of things. When I first looked at the word love even, I was like, what? It means all that? I was like, what? You know, it was crazy. So yeah, thanks for that. I'm glad you wrote that book.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying where the title came from too, yeah. Quick responses from Brian and Angela?
Oh, underdog sounds like a sports term. I don't know those things.
To me, an underdog, I think again, it's with the underestimated part of it, which is what I identify with. And so I believe it's someone who was counted out, who was written off, who was, you figure, like in the poem I have it say, like, some would say my family legacy, you know, like would make me a failure, but I inherited the underdog spirit, the continuing to show up, even after I've been counted out. So yeah.
Great. And Angela, while we're with you, your poem Recovery, can you tell us a little bit more about like what inspired you to, really talk about and being brave to say that you are a child of Narcotics Anonymous?
Yeah. That poem, so growing up as a daughter of addicts or recovering addicts, I feel like it gave me this vantage point of constantly being around underdogs. Like I grew up with addicts as people who have gone to prison and who have these tattoos and look like big mustaches and all that. And to the outside world, they expect something from these people, and it's not to recover. It's not to survive in terms of, it's not to flourish. It's to continue failing, continue the cycle of addiction and abuse. And it's I wanted to write that poem because I was asked a question by another poet. I took a workshop my first days in the early days of the poetry lounge, and she asked, what were you born into? And it just came exactly like, it just came quickly, because that's what I was born into. I was born into recovery. And so being able to talk about the last line, it says, living the part will always be more important than looking it. It's something I want to continue to, it's a theme. I even have another poem called Boobs versus Brains, where where I was in college and I was asked by this professor, I went to go get a grad check for something I didn't know, and they asked me what my major was, and when I said rhetoric, he looked at me like crazy, like he was like, what? Like I wouldn't, and then he continued to say, like I would have guessed that someone so pretty, would be interested in more feminine things. And I got the poem's in the book. But like the poem I do say, like my mom always taught me, you don't bite the hand that feeds you. What you do is wait until you're full and then you burn down the fucking kitchen. But so these lessons like that, it's these unconventional lessons that come from being an underdog, that come from being raised around these people. My mom is a street person. My mom is, she's this like ex-heroin addict who went to prison and who she survives in her way and she guides me in her way. And it's this vantage point that I have of being raised around and by underdogs that gives me the advantage of, I love it when people underestimate me, because then when I get in front of the microphone, I know for a fact what I offer, and what they thought of me probably went out the window. And they can take that with them when they leave. So that's what I have to say. Just keep talking.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Anyone want to highlight your other poem or riff off of what Angela said?
I totally agree. I love how you talked about being raised by underdogs and the underestimated, and that it didn't occur to you to not to give up.
Yeah.
Like that's and like having, I always I work with a lot of survivors. I'm an advocate, and I always tell, because I think addicts are survivors, and I always tell them, like, you're so lucky to have a kid. And they're like, well, I know why, but why do you think? And I'm like, because that's redemption.
Mm-hmm.
That is a daily opportunity at redemption
Yeah.
that people just don't get. And so I think it's really beautiful that and that the poem's called Recovery.
It's also something that I want to, like, I don't want, when I was younger, I used to be afraid to say that my parents aren't like any other parents. So you're going to school, you get to go to like a sleepover or like something like that. And what do your parents do? Well, you know, and so I grew into being proud of it. And I feel like now I'm in a place where I'm like, this is who I am, now try to underestimate me, please.
Yeah, exactly.
I love the idea of growing into pride. And I'm just thinking about the idea of dog. My brain's got fixated on that part of underdog, and the idea of loyalty is part of that, and that connotation that it has as well, and like that fidelity to the roots, right?
Yeah.
Saying this is where I come from, and I'm not gonna like put this away. I'm gonna bring this with me everywhere.
Yeah.
And share it.
Y'all are beautiful people. I guess to tag on to that would be, gosh, I feel like my dad, he was growing up in Harlem and kind of, he had like half a street life, half the kind of single mother upbringing that I was talking about before. And I think he relied a lot on his gift of gab, which he thankfully gave to me. And, you know, was able to get out of a lot of situations with talking his way out or thinking his way out and thinking quick. And so there was a lot of, I think, pain that he avoided or problems he avoided big time. And I feel like that's kind of been my approach with life a lot of the times. Like I want to be able to avoid situations the best as I can, and at the same time bring everybody up that they don't even know why they're attacking us or why they're making us feel ashamed for who we are, right? And showing that salud. And otra vez.
No, Sasha, no. Don't talk to me
But no, basically just getting to that point of well, my parents are the kind of people that we just want to have a good time with people. You know, my mom can talk to someone at the grocery store for like an hour, right? Like we're those people. So it's kind of like, you know, why do you want to judge me for something? Why do you want to, come on, like, can't we just hang out and eat some food and have a good time, right? And so that's kind of been of course, ideal approach to life, for sure. I'd rather not even think about being an underdog. I'm like, yo, can we just hang out like all the dogs together? Can we just hang out in the kennel?
Yeah.
I'll go to your dog park.
We're having a play date here right now. Let's see. Is there a line from someone else's poem that you'd like to highlight? I'll start first. Brian, I love the orange sherbet glow as like the end line of your poem. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you chose that as the end line of that poem?
Oh, hell yeah. That was the first stanza originally, and then it was just set to music and sung by Vox Femina last weekend. And like got cut up in interesting ways, and I was like, no, this is the ending. Like it ends in this place. But all of the lines of that poem, there were I think 50 different WeHo residents who submitted stories, and so all of the images and all of the lines in that poem come from lines that people have sent me. So orange sherbet and glow were 3 of those words. So they're not my words. I'm just a steward of them.
Wow. Beautiful.
The way you ended your last poem too, like got me just the exchange of the money and then the way you. It's like that was implied, but then when you said it, it's like you just sealed the deal. With the line is, it just made me feel like it was worth something. What you're doing is worth something. Oh, it's just very well placed and perfect. The way you told that story.
I think especially as writers, there's so much underdogage, you know, there's so much need for that. And I mean, all of the awards and accolades and shit in the literary world come with like $5 anyways. So it's interesting to be trying to make culture and to make space for language in, I don't know, an era of like TikTok.
I feel like you made, sorry to interrupt you, I feel like you made it clear that the interaction, you made room for your experience of the interaction and hers, and it really was like very sweet because you acknowledged both. Because you're 22 years old, I was trying to picture myself, you know, like
Yeah.
22 years old, and you're just starting, and you know that could be the difference of you giving up or not. And so that those $5, you know, could have been 5 million. It
Yeah.
didn't matter. It was really just that that push that it gave you to keep going, but also the really tender moment that you showed with her, the daughter of the trucker.
Well, you never know. Like, this wasn't part of your poem, but your preamble talking about Meliza and like what her work has meant in your life, and kind of coming up and getting to watch, you know, this one. Do what she did, blaze that trail, and that you don't know, and what you talked about. No, it's your poem. I think in the end where the book by the random author, and then you just do.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You know, author you've never heard of.
That was smooth. That was smooth.
That was new.
I'll say, yeah, both of you two, oh my gosh, like the, I'd say the Chingona, how am I saying it? Chingona?
Chingona.
Chingona, right.
Yeah, exactly. You want to yeah.
I have to give that.
You can just say it.
No, okay. Alright, I'll work on that.
You don't.
As you can see, it helps me want to own more of myself. That line is so that, and also with Missy's line of the doing something like getting like
It's
very
always so hard, so
yeah.
ugly getting to something so beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah,
those,
that's a
yeah.
classic.
I feel like those two lines for me together like summed up like probably half my life. Just being able to own yourself and own your voice, own who you are, and not feel apologetic about it. And not even that you feel apologetic, but even feel comfortable being yourself. I think that's like a really good rite of passage as an artist too. Yeah, so much respect again. Thanks a lot.
Oh, I come from a long line of growers, and I am not afraid to dig. That's the merch. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
t-shirt line, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, that is a good
Yeah.
t-shirt. Solid t-shirt.
We're LA. We need t-shirts.
Merch alert.
Always make a t-shirt.
Gotcha. Sean, you had a poem called Nonviolent War, and it came from a tough place. What does poetry mean for you in terms of healing? And on to the other panelists, what does poetry mean for you in terms of healing as well?
So yeah, Nonviolent War was the last piece that I shared, and it was written. I was on a scholarship in living in China at the end of my college years, and I was far away from when Katrina happened. You know, and I was away from everything over here, and I felt so powerless. I felt so just discarded, and felt like there's nothing I can do to help people right now, especially Black people, and especially the kind of plight that I saw globally when you live in another country. And I thought about genocide, I thought about famine, I thought about all these things going on in the world. And I just started crying, you know, and you know when you're crying and you feel like you get to a point where like, how long have I been crying for? Has it been like a day, you know? Like, has it been 10 minutes? I don't know anymore, right? And I remember just crying until I was empty. And then a part of me was like, well, what next? Like, what do I do next? You know, I'm not there, I can't do anything, I can't do anything. And so I started writing that piece. And that piece came out full form within, I think, an hour or so, and it felt good. It felt like that's my mission statement. It felt like that was what I want to speak with to everyone I talk to. It felt like everything that we say love can heal and solve. No, we gotta like actually use it in our actions with each other, because then it's just empty. It's like we have all these people believing in these religions and all these good things that teach us good things, but why is the world still so much not of what we need it to be, you know? So it felt like that was the disconnect, the love part and making it real, making it grounded, making it something that I know I could speak from the heart. Yeah. Yeah, it felt good.
Poetry is healing, that's our question for whoever has
Who wants to go first?
Well, I mean, I didn't think poetry was healing. I quit. So what will happen, I think, is you'll get really used to your voice as a writer, and you'll probably get sick of it. I mean, you will. And you'll stop believing in it. You'll start thinking it's cliche. You've written this poem before. You've done it all before. I guess I just started thinking that, oh, stories were really important. I need to tell stories. So I wrote this novel. And then after the novel, I just was very lost, and I still didn't really have a way to heal from a lot of things. Poetry is always that way that brings you back, because poetry requires attention, time, and feeling.
Yeah.
And that's what you go through when you grieve, when you're going through loss, when you're going through transit, you're going through all three of those things. So I feel like poetry just finds me. Now I'm looking for it. Now I'm really looking for poetry, which I think is probably the most adult thing I've done in a very long time. Because I normally would avoid it and just be silly dilly gonzo and go write some silly story. And I would think that that was really meaningful. And then again, just still avoiding what I really should be doing.
The poetry is so I've been a mentor and a workshop person, and I've been around kids a lot. I worked for the city of Pasadena, and I had this teen center. And what I would always tell the kids is that a poem is the shortest distance between two people, because you don't have to. Growing up at the Poetry Lounge, we got to be good friends with people, I think, faster than anywhere else socially, because you learn the people from inside out. You're writing, they're up there, and you know what their trauma before you know their favorite color. So it's like you get stuck the opposite way. And so it's an opportunity and a space to as a kid, I grew up alone. I felt real alone. And it's an activity that you don't need anyone else to do it with. So it was something that that came to me as a coping mechanism of feeling unheard, just not paid attention to. And once I figured out that was something I could, a place I could put it, I just never stopped. I'm not a poet. I'm not a poet that writes constantly. It has to move me, and I wish I could be like the mule and just labor through it. But I'm the inspired one. I have to be inspired. The whole poem will come to me as is, and and I want to come to a place where I'm no longer only writing about hard things. I don't really have too many, other than empowering poems, I don't really have too many lighthearted poems. And that's something that I would like to explore in this half of my life. Because joy teaches us just as much as pain. And I want to explore that, because there's a lot of pain in my work, but joy is healing as well. And so to be able to, say, okay, I already know how to do this. I already know how to write the hard stuff. Now let's try a different version of the hard stuff and just try to add some joy into it and heal that way, Are you?
Oh, I wanna be confrontational and say poetry doesn't always have to be healing.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's the opposite. But I think maybe living is healing, and poetry is a way of living, and a way of just moving through the world and trying to pay attention and notice things and slow down a little bit. And in that sense, I think poetry is also anti-capitalist, and in that sense, maybe it's healing. And I think I'll leave it there.
Yeah, living. We'll just wrap it up with a real quick, how do we support underdogs, or how do we support people who are sometimes left out of the system or whatever system or society, and just, provide support for each other as artists or as creators or as just humans? How do we support people who are underestimated?
I know.
Me too, I'm next. I got some notes.
2 words: assume confidence.
Yes.
You have no idea, and the small amount of details you have about someone's life, switch it for a second and ask yourself if that person had those same amount of details, would they know you? And the answer is always gonna be no. And so assume competence before you assume anything else.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, just to switch it up a little bit, also like on the capitalist artist. I'm doing this so I can see who's in the room. The capitalist artistic mode. We all have choices in what we buy. You all can buy poetry. You all can purchase underdogs. You can choose to consume culture on your own terms. And it's so silly how so many people every day are like, I don't do enough in this world. I just don't do enough. I just work, I just don't do this. And I'm going, but every day you buy local. Like I said to my friend, I was like, I've never known you to buy from a box store in 20 damn years. You're shutting them down, man. I go, I'm telling you.
You're doing the work.
No, it's not that much. I'm like, it's the integrity that you have. You don't flash that shit all over the socials to get attention for it. It's just, that's who you are. Like, and, to just like see, LA is filled with underdogs. There are so many people here chasing a dream, and you could just so easily fulfill them by giving them your attention. Like, we were just talking before people came back in, like, what the definition of an underdog is. And I said, well, I had to, because I was naming the book that. I was like, I better be really sure. That might be helpful. Just a thought. And it says it's a competitor who is underestimated, but who always finishes every competition. So they're not just underestimated, they finish. So understand that, like, whoever, we know that, right? It's LA. Whoever's this today is something else tomorrow. Like, just make it a habit that you seek people that maybe aren't always at the front, but they're right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, because once in a while, what'll happen, and we saw this in our poetry community too, someone will get plucked out and they're considered the plucked one. And then it's like, okay, but we were all plucked. we're all from the same garden. Like, what are you talking about? And it's interesting how, like, we never put that, but critics of the work and critics of people will always put that. They're always gonna wanna, like, divide communities. They're gonna wanna divide, like, places that are really packing together. So it's just important to know too that, like, underdogs roll together. They're often not alone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You find one, you're gonna find more, and you should support all of them.
Yeah.
I guess I have, I got like two examples that are working for me I think I can explain this. Two examples for me. One example would be like Bernie Sanders when he ran for president, right? And I would talk to so many people, just contemplating, just talking about these different politicians, right? And then it would always get to a point where they say, oh yeah, that'd be nice, but he's never gonna win, right? It came to like that kind of mentality. And I'm like, of course not, if everyone keeps thinking this shit about this guy. Like, that doesn't make sense. So unifying and actually talking with people in a way that you respect their belief, even. If you respect their art, find respect in it, what they're doing. And I think a lot of the time, I'll even call out myself sometimes, if I meet another artist and I'm judging them more than I'm understanding them. And I want to get better at always remembering, like, you know what? That piece wasn't that bad. Like, let me ask them a question about, where they were going with that, or if their intention was this or that, and actually ask questions to this person, to this artist, even to the young kid. And I think the one last example is that, there's a young kid at a workshop at a high school, and I remember he couldn't make it there for class, and the teacher actually sent me, or like gave me his poem that he left for me to check out and like look over. And his poem reminded me of the kind of poems my brother would write when he was in the gang. And it hit me. It just hit me so hard. And I was like, you know what? Let me not just write, keep going. Great writing, something basic and simple, right? I wrote in like every other line, like ideas and like great idea with this, great concept, play with this metaphor more, this part really got me. And like, a few weeks later, I heard back from him and he was like so just happy. He was just genuinely happy. and the teacher said now he wants to know where he can submit that poem. Now he wants to know what else can he do to get that poem out there. And this is the guy that, again, the same kind of gang life my brother was in, but when you give someone time and attention, right, and actually give them your space and share that, you'd be so surprised at just even a question can do for someone to show that you care about their art, about their life.
It makes them feel like it's worth something.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Keep
So I think
going.
that what came up for me. Yeah.
Thank
Just give $5.
you, Jen.
Right.
A quick add on all of that. One of the things that's come up a lot at the typewriter and talking to people and kind of getting their stories is all of these folks feeling like they're givers or they're caretakers. And all my friends work for nonprofits and they're all burnt the fuck out. And I think that one of the best ways that we can help, quote unquote, is by like demanding ourselves do better, and demanding that our institutions do better, and that we're living the ethics that we're trying to put in place in the world. And that's a weird and hard thing to do.
Yeah. And on that note, thank you to the institution of Beyond Baroque for supporting this.
Supporting underdogs since 1968. Making underdogs legendary.
And I forgot to say thank you for the Academy of American Poets for giving us a Twitter shout out. This was the event pick of the week. And special thanks to our YouTube live stream people and Eric in the booth for making this tech happen, Jimmy for making this event happen and getting us on the calendar, and all of you for showing up to support local poets here, buying local, showing up local, and please stay for reception. Yeah?
Also, just to support fellow artists, if anyone buys any one of our books,
Yes.
I'll give you my album for free. My like spoken word album digitally, I'll give it to you for free if you buy any one of our stuff, just to support that. And also, if you don't buy something, still say hello to people. Please still, I love giving free hugs. I'm that guy, so like, still say hello to people, all right?
And find them all on the socials, that way you can see their new work and find Sean's business card to get his download. And last words from Missy?
I just wanted to say too that one of the reasons my friendship with Angela and a lot of these friendships blossomed so much is because we were in collectives. We were always doing collective work. This could not have happened without Jen. Okay? What underdogs need is a Jen check. Someone who's just gifted at reading people, reading artists, networking, pulling off events. Like, I can't tell you how many times I wanted to fucking quit. And Jen would just be like, come on, come on. I really want people to know that you're special. And they shouldn't turn their back on you. And please come to Palabras, because that's another great event that Jen does.
And I know how much y'all are here and spent some good amount of time with us, so please hang out and ask them questions directly out in the lobby. And I know how it feels to be underestimated and unsupported, and you all have been here supporting us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right, ready? Look here. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Okay, no,